Most people never notice how loud their life is until they stop talking so much. Every little thing gets explained, defended, softened, cleaned up so nobody gets uncomfortable. That habit drains the life out of a person. The second silence replaces over-explaining, the whole room changes. Friends start acting weird. Family suddenly becomes concerned. Co-workers stare harder. People who ignored boundaries before suddenly panic because the usual access disappeared. Funny thing is, nothing dramatic even happened. No speech, no revenge, no big exit, just less talking, less reacting, less chasing. And somehow that makes insecure people lose sleep. A lot of folks are only comfortable when someone keeps proving they're harmless. The moment calm replaces the need for approval, all those fake little power games stop working. That's when the whispers start. Something's off. Attitude changed. Too quiet now. Now what changed is the need to babysit everybody else's feelings. Some people got addicted to watching someone fold under pressure. Once that stopped happening, they didn't know who they were dealing with anymore. A hard truth nobody likes saying out loud is this: most people are not reacting to reality. They're reacting to the version of someone they built in their head years ago. Once behavior changes, their brain glitches out. The old version was easier to manage, easier to guilt, easier to control with silence. Fake disappointment, little sarcastic comments, or random emotional punishments. Then one day the usual buttons stop working. No angry paragraphs, no begging to fix things, no dramatic speeches trying to clear misunderstandings. Just distance, just calm. That's what really unsettles manipulative people. Chaos doesn't scare them, they know how to work with chaos. Calm scares them because calm can't be pulled into nonsense. That's why some folks keep poking and poking after they lose control. Random disrespect, passive-aggressive jokes, acting cold out of nowhere. Suddenly bring up old mistakes. It's bait. Pure bait. They want emotional access again. They want proof the strings still connect. The strongest move sometimes is sitting there hearing all of it and refusing to perform the reaction they came to collect. People love saying be yourself until being yourself stops entertaining them. That's the part nobody prepares anybody for. The second someone stops shrinking to fit into old groups, the pressure ramps up fast. Suddenly, confidence becomes arrogance. Privacy becomes secretive. Peace becomes boring. A person who used to answer every call now takes time for themselves. And somehow that turns into betrayal. Crazy part is half these relationships were built around convenience, not respect. As long as somebody stayed available, useful, forgiving, and emotionally easy to reach, everybody smiled. But the second priorities shift, the masks slip. Watch how fast certain people become irritated when access changes. Not because they cared deeply, but because entitlement got interrupted. A lot of friendships, relationships, even family bonds survive mainly because one person keeps swallowing discomfort to maintain the peace. Once that person stops volunteering to be emotionally stepped on, everybody calls it drama. But real drama was tolerating nonsense for years just to avoid making others uncomfortable. Silence exposes more than arguments ever will. A loud reaction gives toxic people room to twist the story. They can call someone crazy, emotional, unstable, bitter, difficult, but silence leaves them alone with their own behavior. That's why some people get desperate when they can't provoke a response. They need the distraction. They need the fight because the fight keeps attention away from what they actually did. Staying calm ruins that setup completely. Ever notice how certain people get even angrier when calm enters the room? They start escalating harder. Louder opinions, more disrespect, more attempts to embarrass someone publicly. It's because they expected panic, expected emotional collapse, expected the old version to come running back trying to fix everything. Instead, they got somebody sitting there relaxed, watching the circus without joining it. That drives insecure people insane. And honestly, most revenge stories are overrated anyway. Life handles people eventually. Patterns catch up. Fake confidence cracks. Manipulation burns bridges over time. Somebody who constantly creates confusion eventually ends up trapped inside their own mess. No extra effort needed. There's another ugly reality nobody likes admitting. A lot of people secretly feel safer when somebody around them is struggling. As long as one person stays insecure, apologetic, doubting themselves, everybody else gets to feel bigger. Then growth happens quietly. Better boundaries, more self-respect, less desperation for attention. Suddenly the whole social dynamic shifts. Now insecure people feel exposed because comparison stopped favoring them. That's why support sometimes disappears the second progress becomes visible. Folks clapped while things looked harmless. But real change makes people nervous, especially people who benefited from low standards. Watch how some individuals suddenly become critical once confidence stops looking temporary. They'll call it concern while constantly undermining decisions. They'll pretend to give advice while subtly hoping for failure. It sounds paranoid until it happens enough times to recognize the pattern. Not everybody around a person wants growth. Some just want comfort. Some want familiar roles to stay locked in place forever. The moment somebody stops playing weak, the whole room has to confront itself. One thing that changes everything is realizing not every misunderstanding deserves correction. That lesson saves years of stress. Some people intentionally misunderstand because clarity would remove their excuse to treat someone badly. Sitting there trying to explain intentions to committed manipulators is like arguing with somebody who already decided the outcome before the conversation started. Doesn't matter how carefully words get chosen. Doesn't matter how respectful the tone is. Certain people need a villain in their story because it protects their ego. Once that clicks, the obsession with clearing one's name starts dying off. Let people think what they want. Sometimes chasing universal understanding is exhausting. Half the time, the people demanding explanations never offered the same grace in return anyway. Real peace starts showing up when every rumor, every judgment, every sideways comment no longer feels like an emergency. Not every false opinion deserves emotional energy. Some people will dislike someone no matter how kind, patient, or fair they are. That's not failure. That's life. The strange thing about becoming harder to manipulate is how lonely it can feel at first. Old habits made people comfortable. Constant availability, constant emotional transparency, constant fixing. Once those habits disappear, some relationships naturally fade because they were never built on mutual respect to begin with. That part hurts more than most admit. There's grief in realizing certain connections only survived because boundaries were weak. But pretending otherwise just delays reality. Some people don't miss the person. They miss the access. They miss being able to dump stress, guilt, confusion, and emotional chaos onto somebody who always absorbed it quietly. Once absorption stops, resentment starts building fast. Suddenly, old kindness gets erased from memory. Now the calm person becomes cold because they finally learned how to protect their peace. Funny how nobody complained about emotional exhaustion while benefits were flowing in their direction. Only now, when limits exist, does everybody suddenly become an expert on kindness and loyalty. A lot of control disappears the second someone stops needing immediate outcomes. That's another thing manipulative people hate. Desperation is easy to control. Anxiety is easy to control. Fear of losing people is easy to control. But somebody who can sit still and let life unfold naturally becomes difficult to shake. No more chasing closure from people incapable of honesty. No more forcing conversations that clearly died already. No more begging for basic respect while pretending crumbs are enough. Calm patience changes everything because it removes urgency from situations designed to create panic. Most emotional traps rely on immediate reactions. Quick anger, quick explanations, quick apologies, quick emotional decisions made under pressure. But once patience enters the picture, the hidden intentions behind people become easier to see. Patterns become obvious. Contradictions become obvious. Fake concern becomes obvious. Time reveals more than arguments ever will. A lot of truth surfaces naturally when somebody stops interrupting life, trying to control every little outcome. Some folks confuse kindness with weakness because they've spent years using aggression to survive. They think calm people are narrow until calm people stop tolerating disrespect. That moment always shocks them. Suddenly, access gets cut off quietly. Energy changes. Distance grows. No screaming needed. No dramatic social media speeches. Just a silent shift that says enough is enough. That's usually when the guilt trips start. Changed. Too sensitive, acting different. Of course, things changed. Pain teaches, betrayal teaches, repeated disrespect teaches. Nobody stays endlessly soft after getting burned enough times. The important part is refusing to become bitter while learning those lessons. There's a difference between becoming wiser and becoming cruel. A lot of people lose themselves trying to punish the world back. Meanwhile, the strongest move is often staying grounded while everybody else spirals into chaos. Not every attack deserves retaliation. Not every insult deserves defense. Some people self-destruct all on their own once nobody volunteers to join their dysfunction anymore. At some point, a person gets tired of performing for the world, tired of proving worth, tired of managing everybody else's perception, tired of shrinking, explaining, fixing, chasing, smoothing things over, pretending disrespect doesn't hurt, pretending fake love feels real enough. That exhaustion changes something deep. Not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way either. More like quiet mornings where the need for approval slowly dies. Fewer forced conversations, fewer emotional reactions, more observation, more distance from nonsense. And weirdly enough, that's when attention increases the most. People watch harder when somebody stops trying to be watched. Human nature is strange like that. The world notices calm confidence far more than loud desperation. Not because it's flashy, but because it's rare. Most people are emotionally loud all the time. Constant proving, constant posting. Someone who moves quietly while refusing to collapse under pressure stands out automatically. No performance needed, no revenge speech needed. Just consistency, self-respect, and the patience to let life reveal who is real and who only showed up when control was easy.